Padmanja Joshi also joins us live now, as does Shabir Ahmed. Anusha and Vivek will be joining us in a short while from now. Vijay and Nikhil are with us from Nandanam, Pradeep Pillai from Puducherry and Dhanya Rajendran also. Coming to you first, Shabir, we understand you are at the main control room. Just in terms of the status where we stand, the number of people rescued, the number still stranded, those awaiting evacuation, the status of rescue and relief ops, just give us what the status is right now.
Well, the entire Tamil Nadu government machinery has descended here, and rescue and relief operations are in full swing. And right behind me, you can see I am now coming live from the main control room, which is located in Kanjipuram district in Tambaram. This is how food packets have been mobilized here and all the other relief materials. In fact, all the ministers, most of the senior ministers, including several IAS officers, are here. They are carrying out relief and rescue operations. This is where the combined coordinated rescue operations are being carried out by the Tamil Nadu government officials, as well as the IAF, the Army, the Navy and various other forces of the Tamil Nadu government. Joining me is Senior IAS officer Mr. Raja Ram, who is deputed by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister to carry out relief and rehabilitation measures in Tiruvallur, Kanjipuram and various other districts. Sir, what is the situation now? How many people have been rescued so far?
Since yesterday, the rescue efforts have been further improved, and as of yesterday, about 7,000 people were rescued. And today, I mean, because of the addition of further rescue teams, we were able to rescue close to about 10,000 people from various urban habitations as well as rural areas. The Army supported us with 2 columns, and the Navy with 1 column, and NDRF forces were there with 2 teams. The state fire and rescue services and the police force, all the other state departments were here working with us under the instructions of the Honorable Chief Minister. And as a result of which we were able to, since morning, to rescue about 10,000 people. And not only that, I mean, we also have done some preventive evacuation of people. And currently, because of that, I mean, I think the evacuation, the rescue efforts were much more easier. So a total of about 52,500 people are now currently staying in about 217 relief camps across the state.
Sir, also which are the worst affected areas as far as Kanjipuram, Tiruvallur and Chennai, the suburban parts of Chennai are concerned? The southern parts of Tambaram, that is basically Tambaram municipality, the Perungalattur town panchayat, Mudichur panchayat, Varadarajapuram, then Kirkankaranai and Urapakam, Puducherry, Anakaputur and Kaul Basar. So these are some of the areas which are severely affected. There were other panchayats also where inundation happened. So, but many of these panchayats, because of the thanks to the speedy efforts taken by the state administration under the leadership of the Chief Minister, we were able to.
Shabir, before you go to the next question, I'm just going to pull away and play out another stark reality to our viewers. Because I'll come back to you for asking more questions with the state administration, because they'll have to also account for this loss. Here's what happened earlier in the day. You were in Puducherry. Look at what this family told Shabir.
We are in a place called Vijayanagar on an army boat in Puducherry. The army just conducted a recce here to see how many people are stranded inside and what are the ways that they can be rescued. But clearly this entire area is inundated, and yesterday the water level was more than 15 feet, and today it's more than 8 feet, and the water current is massive in this particular area. The army officers who conducted the recce, they have just concluded that rescuing people on boat is something which is impossible at the moment because of the water current, and they will be now manually reaching out to the people, and they'll be rescuing people through ropes.
We are placing ropes all along the route, and we'll be dragging people physically now. So we will be getting down to the boats, and we'll be rescuing the people on the boats, and we'll be pushing all the boats by.
The water from Adyar River is flowing into the residential areas where several people are stranded. The army boats, motor boats, couldn't withstand the water current, and right now the army is rescuing people with the help of ropes. Several houses are inundated here. Yesterday the water level was up to 15 feet, and today it has reduced to but still the water current here is extreme.
The requirement over there presently is of relief work, that is providing of them food packets and waters. That is the urgent requirement of the situation that is being catered for by the army.
They conducted rescue operations in a different place where the situation was quite normal, but here the situation seems to be very serious, and the water current is extremely high in this particular area, and the army boats and rescuing people on boats is something which is impossible, though they have motorboats, but rescuing people here seems to be extremely impossible. And now the army will be manually rescuing people here through ropes and various other means. In Puducherry with camera person Manish, Shabir Ahmed for Times Now.
Right, we'll be coming back to you, Shabir, in just a minute, but going across to Padmaja now. Padmaja, earlier in the day also you were in fact on board one of those relief operations where food packets and water were being distributed, but there is still, we understand, a huge shortage. There are areas where something like a packet of milk is being sold for 100 rupees simply because nothing is available. What are the families around you telling you?
Well, in fact, Tina, we've got a family here with us who's practically off the boat even just seconds ago. And, they were trapped in Krishnanagar for the last 3 days, and finally they've been taken out by the NDRF. How many days were you there? How were you coping?
3 days, ma'am. 3 days. I'm staying in Krishnanagar only.
Okay.
I'm in first floor, so I'm also spoiled.
Okay.
Water. So water will be slow fall down, then I will lift it from our area.
Okay. And then after you came out on the NDRF boats, you got the locals who helped you out with their car. They brought you out.
Also, India also, even every people, younger help us.
And what about food in those 3 days that you were trapped?
The local peoples and also some politicians and ADMK, DMK, some local areas will help with the waters and also food also 3 times.
You're saying that the ground floor of your house is completely under.
I'm in first floor, another 2-3 steps, then we'll be covered inside of my house also.
And you just managed to get like a few packets out. What about the rest of your belongings in your house?
Which is nothing. We are left and he's not left.
Okay.
I'm in first floor, that is
okay.
Ground floor is spoiled each and everything.
Okay.
I'm in first floor, safer side.
Alright, so now
more than 3 steps, that also the water will fall down inside. So safer zone. I'm with the TV and some, even though certificate also we can lift it, laptop also I can slap that. I will safer side. I will.
Okay, so they've been brought out of Krishnanagar, but now they have a long way to go before they finally get to the relatives. Thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you. Sorry for holding you up. In fact, the good news is that at least in this stretch of Puducherry, the main road is dry now, and a part of the electricity on the streets has also been restored. But despite that, remember, Tina, there are large stretches. The entire Krishnanagar area, which the gentleman was talking about, there is no electricity. Every now and then we see a vehicle which is either volunteers, private citizens. They've got hot meals and water for the people who are living in these areas. Now they're not really getting out because where else do they go? All the lodges, the hotels, the hostels, they're all packed to capacity. Tell me very quickly, the last 3 days that you've been here, what is the kind of response that you've seen?
The response was good, but we can't tell that everyone was safe. Many are unsafe only. Still now they are unsafe.
Right. Now, Padmaja, we'll come back to you as you continue speaking to those people, as you were mentioning the fact that there isn't any power in large parts of the state, and that is because the power supplies have been cut off by the authorities simply because there's so much water, and there is that fear of electrocution, which is why people are having to make do without power as well. Now, of course, the Prime Minister earlier took an aerial survey of the situation, has of course announced 1,000 crore rupees in relief, but Times Now also was there doing an aerial survey just to try and get you a sense of how extensive the devastation is. Padmaja earlier got us this aerial report.
So far, you have heard about how flight operations in the Chennai airport have been disrupted. But now we show you the real picture of exactly what is happening at the civilian airport. Here you see all the flights stranded and the runway, large parts of it underwater. This really is the most stark aerial picture of what's happening at Chennai. And this, mind you, when it hasn't rained for the last several hours, when the water seems to have subsided quite a bit. But even now, the civilian flight operations are not on. They've been kept under suspension simply because the state of the runway even now for the last 48 hours, there had been complete chaos at the civilian airport, and people were left stranded. They had no other way out. So the only way anyone could get into or outside of Chennai was actually airport. There you see the entire equipment, lot of it underwater. The first real startling picture that had come out was that of an Indigo pilot who had treated, a bus half submerged in water. And now you see a real picture from the air of what it's like here at the Chennai domestic terminal. With video journalist Manoj Singh on board an Indian Air Force chopper, Padmaja Joshi, Times Now.
Well, before we go across to Dhanya Rajendran of the News Minute, just quickly, Dhanya, going across to Shabir because he's at the Central Control Room and he is with some of the state officials who are coordinating the relief effort. Shabir, you've been on ground, you've seen the plight of the people. Their concern is when will we have electricity and when will we have drinking water? Even Padmaja and the others, when they have gone for relief, they have said we have no water, we have no clean water. What is the state government doing to make sure that people have clean water? Let's get to the straight questions first now, because they can deliver a lot of food packets, but what are they going to do about electricity and water?
So, in several areas, people have been complaining that there is no electricity and there is no drinking water. So, what is the state government going to do in terms of supplying food, water and electricity?
The electricity service can be provided only when there is safe for the people to come in and live there. So as long as there is water inundation, it would not be safe for us to switch on the power. So therefore, our first effort is to actually rescue the people and thereafter drain the water. So in many of the areas, I think work is going on to ensure that the water drains fast. So once that is done, step by step, in every area where water has been drained out completely, electricity inspectors will inspect and switch on the power. We expect to do that in the next couple of days.
And what about water, sir?
As far as drinking water is concerned, it is not safe for them to take the local water, which has been probably contaminated. So we have advised them on instructions that they should only use protected drinking water supplied by the government. Amma water bottles have been supplied to all the people in the camps. And we have the MTC, which supplies this water, is supplied about 40,000 bottles.
But Shabir, very quickly, people in the camps may be getting water, but what about the people who are stranded? They are the ones who really need clean drinking water, and from all our reports today, we've seen they are not getting them.
Sir, what about people who are stranded, sir? People who are in relief camps are getting water, but what about people who are stranded? How are you planning to supply water, or have you supplied water, clean drinking water to them?
So this requires us to supply water and food in their houses itself. So many people are not willing to get evacuated. We have actually reached out to them through boat as well as through helicopters. So today there were 28 sorties run, and almost like 20,000 packets of food and water were delivered today. And there were about 11 helicopters which were deployed. Tomorrow also we are continuing the operations in some parts of Tiruvallur, Chennai and Kanchipuram.
And one of the biggest issues is that there has been unverified news and information about water being released from Pudi reservoir as well as Chembrambakam. What is the actual position, sir? Yes.
In Chembrambakam, only 5,000 cusecs has been released, and it is only a rumor. They are not going to release water more than 5,000 cusecs. So you can very well say to the public that we are not going to increase the outflow in Chembrambakam.
And one more important issue, sir, is about the connectivity. There are no mobile phones, there are no landlines that are working. So what is the government doing in terms of getting back some kind of connectivity?
Today, the Honorable Chief Minister had an aerial tour, based on which Honorable Chief Minister issued a lot of instructions. Especially the first one is to restore the services. Some of the services include the state government services as well as central government services. So as far as state government services are concerned, we are working on a war footing to replace commodities destroyed in public distribution services shops. Power and restoration of bus service is also our first priority, which will go on today and tomorrow. And in addition to that, a number of central government run services which are affected, like cell phone towers, landlines, for which the state government has actually has been in talks with the local BSNL and other telco officials. In fact, the services have improved over the last 24 hours, and many ATMs have also been destroyed. So we have also requested the banking department to ensure speedy restoration of services.
All right, Shabir.
Not very convincing, Shabir, because the next 48 hours there's going to be heavy rainfall. What happens then? Were they aptly prepared? Because most people who we have spoken to have said no help came. Even at the Little Flower Convent earlier in the day, it were good Samaritans who came out because of help that was sought on social media. It was not the civic authorities. So these are questions that they have to answer, and we'll come back to you in a bit.
The first set of stranded passengers from Tamil Nadu following floods have in fact been brought here at the Palam Technical Airport in New Delhi. Behind me is the Indian Air Force P-130J Hercules, which has brought the first batch of passengers. About 108 passengers expected to have in fact brought and rescued.
As we go across to the News Minute founder Dhanya Rajendran joining us live at this point. Dhanya, you're somewhere at in Chennai, are you? Because the area behind you seems to be dry. So are you bringing us some good tidings with the fact, the latest update that some of the areas have cleared?
Well, we are running a help desk from Bangalore, Chennai, Palakkad and many places. In fact, I'm in Bangalore right now. There are a lot of civilians who came together. Times Now has been getting hundreds of emails and callers. In fact, we are also getting a lot of tweets, Facebook messages. So we've been collating them. We formed help desks with civilians on Facebook. This has been headed by around 7 to 8 people, if I can just take their names, because they've been very helpful through the day. Veena, Divya, Deepak, Sharika, Shubha, Arivarasa and Neetu. People under them, they have been constantly calling all these people. One bit of good news I can give is that though many people are worried about their relatives in Chennai, we have been able to get through a lot of them. They do not have any issues as far as rescuing is concerned. Many of them are already on second floors or third floors of their houses or apartments. They do have an acute shortage of food and water, which we have been trying to coordinate with volunteers across the city. The AIDMK IT wing, the DMK helpline, right. The Chennai Rain Relief Center have been extremely helpful. So all these numbers are being collated and help as far as we can help. We are trying to reach out to people.
Well, yeah, in fact, a little more on that in just a minute. Dhanya, do stay on with us. We will, of course, remind our viewers once again that they can connect through Times Now if they are looking for information or trying to provide information about anyone in Chennai. They can do so right here through Times Now. We are collating all this information and forwarding it to the Chief Minister's office with the help of the News Minute. Just going to go across quickly to Professor Vinod Sharma, Professor Disaster Management and Vice Chairman of the Sikkim State Disaster Management. Professor Sharma, when the caution is that for the next 48 hours, it is going to be crucial in the state in terms of disaster management. What are the top 2 or 3 things that the authorities need to be doing right now when we know that there's hundreds of thousands of people who are still stranded?
Actually, there are many things, we'll have to do. This is a big, unprecedented disaster which has happened. One is that rescuing these people. And NDRF, Army and all these people, they are already doing it. But I think there was a need of state disaster response force, which is not there in Tamil Nadu. In case you have a state disaster response force, they can act more swiftly and more volunteers and community basically. Community, you can see that how community is working in Chennai and helping each other. I think administration, because Met Department is saying that there is more rain, so I think more safer places and the low-lying areas, people should be evacuated and they should be taken to the safer places basically. And now there are 3-4 requirements, which is drinking water, you are already saying, yes. Drinking, because now the chlorine tablet is one answer, you can provide chlorine, because this is a massive work, you cannot give water bottles to each and everyone. So maybe chlorine tablets and then the food packets, then the baby food, which is very important. And nobody is talking about animal feed and fodder, which is equally important. And it is not the question of Chennai, because Chennai is a city, that's why we are talking about Chennai. But
right, so essentially what you're saying, Professor Sharma, essentially it's the, the sustenance which is the most important right now. Just trying to get people some food, getting them water, like you said, perhaps chlorine tablets to make polluted water drinkable. That should be of prime importance right now.
Yes, it will be. Professor Sharma, coming back to you in a bit, just getting our viewers a situation earlier in the day. There was this Little Flower Convent School, a school for visually impaired and challenged children. 300 children were stranded there. They reached out on social media. They had also reached out to Times Now, and help came from multiple corners, unexpected ones. Good Samaritans turning out despite the waterlogging, despite the the deluge and the rain, to come out and help these children. Anusha Ravi gets us this report.
This is definitely not an island where I'm standing. This is in the heart of Chennai, right near Gemini Bridge, a school that is marooned completely. This is a special school for specially able children, hearing impaired and visually challenged children. Last night, the rains from the last 2 days have gutted this entire school. As of now, even the kitchen, this school also houses a hostel, but the kitchen of this hostel is completely submerged. Volunteers from nearby colleges coming out and giving supplies to the children who are stranded here. This school has hearing impaired and visually challenged children, at least about 300 such children.
இந்த மழை வந்ததனால எங்களுக்கு வந்து ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. அன்னைக்கு நைட் வந்து ஹாஸ்டல் ஃபுல்லா தண்ணி வந்துருச்சு. நாங்க சாப்பாடு கூட நின்னுட்டே சாப்பிடுற அளவுக்கு எங்களுக்கு தண்ணி நிறைய உள்ள வந்துருச்சு. குழந்தைங்க எல்லாரும் சின்ன பிள்ளைங்கள்ல இருந்து நாங்க பெரிய பிள்ளைங்க வரைக்கும் எல்லாரும் நின்னுட்டு தான் சாப்பிட்டோம். அதுக்கு அப்புறம் சின்ன பிள்ளைங்களை மட்டும் அந்த ரூம்ல படுக்க வச்சிட்டு பெரிய பிள்ளைங்களுக்கு சுத்தமா இடமே இல்ல படுக்கிறதுக்கு. எங்களை மட்டும் நைட்டோட நைட்டா கொண்டு வந்து teachers hostel உள்ள மேல் மாடியில கொண்டு வந்து விட்டுருக்காங்க.
This is the first time that this school has seen something like this. More than 300 students were left stranded. This hostel also houses women who are visually challenged, who are hearing impaired. Ma'am, is this the first time you're facing such a situation? Have you had experience like this before? What led to this situation?
So this is the first time that we are facing the situation like this. Not only rain water, this only the drainage water is the one thing giving problem. We are not able to care for the children. Today the whole kitchen is in the water. We are not able to cook any food for children, and all the more there is no electricity. Even go for natural call, it is very difficult. We cannot pump the water, we cannot put the motor there. There is no water, even drinking water. We are finding difficult to feed the children with the basic necessities.
As of now, for the last few hours, since last night, really, water has been gushing inside the school, forcing the kitchen of this particular hostel to be shut down. Volunteers coming in from various NGOs, organizations, trying to help the children here.
Thanks to the media, we put it out on Twitter and other places, so people caught it like wildfire, and the relief started coming in. But the distraction is so heavy that these are children now visually challenged, so you cannot evacuate them anywhere. The problem is we don't have water now for use of toilet and for other things, for bath and all those things. Then also there's no drinking water. The sump, everything is gone down. Now we have a lot of volunteers. People are just pouring in. They're all angels without wings. They're just coming in and helping us from all over.
It's not possible for the government to come to the help of every citizen. So citizens are standing up for each other. In Chennai, Anusha Ravi with Sanjay.
Going across to Anusha Ravi and Vivek Narayan joining us live at this point. Anusha and Vivek, what's the situation on ground? You told us that there are those who have come out to help. Anusha brought out that story. A big shout out to all of those people in Chennai who have come out to help people. But on the other hand, you've also talked about, Vivek, people who are ready to try and cash in on their misery. But what's the update at your end now?
Well, it continues to be the same. No rains in the past 36 hours, but still there is severe waterlogging. What Chennai has become is like small islands. You have an island in Srinagar, you have one at Nandanam, you have one at Nugambakam, one at Kodambakam. These parts are difficult to connect as of now. Chennai, the average Chennaiite keeps on looking at the skies, hoping that there won't be any further rains. Well, one clear indication of how things are going is a Met Department press conference which happened earlier in the evening today in Delhi. The Met director saying that he's not been able to get in touch with his local Met office in Chennai to collate the information and draw a detailed map. Well, that speaks volumes. Even the Met Department is not able to collate documents with coordinating with their Chennai office. So that is a kind of connectivity issue that is happening in Chennai. Once the connectivity is resolved, Anand, 90% of Chennai's problems will be solved. So power and mobile phone connectivity, these are the two biggest issues right now. Of course, clean water is there, of course, food is there, but these things being secondary, once power and connectivity over phone is resolved, half of Chennai's problems will be solved. One great thing that we saw all through our reporting today, our field reporters were telling us on how different communities, we had the Archdiocese of Chennai very actively helping, we had RSS volunteers on the streets We had DMK, AIDMK, MDMK. We had even the local Sikh Gurudwaras. We had the mosque being thrown open to the people. So we had a vast majority of Chennaites coming out and helping. Meanwhile, we also had very strange instances from where I'm reporting right now. About 4 hours back, we had this auto driver asking for 1,000 rupee ride to the Coimbatore bus stand, which is just 80 rupees from here. So we do have people fleecing also, but thankfully for Chennai, most of the people going out of the way, trying to help people. And Anusha, when you went out and saw these people, these children, these visually impaired children in that hotel, in that area, what was their response?
Well, they were completely scared. They've never seen such a situation before. Yes, they have seen the streets being flooded, but flooding of this magnitude is something that they did not expect. Even the authorities who know that Chennai is prone to such flooding, more or less such flooding, they were ready. They were keeping sandbags ready at the front gate of the school. But guess what? The water started gushing in from the back gate, so it took them completely by surprise. They were, for hours together, they were left without electricity, like you've been mentioning. Half the city is in total blackout. They did not have water to drink. It's only after somebody took notice and put it on the social media, after we started reporting about it, volunteers came out helping. You were speaking about connectivity being an issue, definitely, but this is turning out to be a paradox, really. Until the roads are flooded, electricity won't be restored, and until electricity does not come back, people cannot charge their phones, their gadgets. Getting in touch with others is going to be a challenge. We were talking about Met Department having a difficulty in connecting with their centers here in Chennai.
Right, Vivek and Anusha, we'll come back to you for an update in just a bit. For the moment, just going for a quick update on the rescue and relief operations, Tina, around Chennai.
All right, we're going to go across to Shabir for that. He is at the main control room. And Shabir, now, a couple of things for those who are anxiously waiting to hear what is happening as far as evacuation is concerned tomorrow. I personally know a lot of people who have family and friends still stranded in Chennai. So let's just get the details on what's happening with the special Air India flights which have been planned for tomorrow. How many people are they going to be able to evacuate from the Chennai airport? And also the Navy's amphibious carrier INS Airavat, which is being moved to Chennai. I understand that they've got divers and swimmers and boats on board. When are all of these going to be deployed? All right, we're just going to go and try and go back to Shabir there in a minute. He's going to try and get us the latest information as far as the evacuation measures for tomorrow are concerned. But right now, just trying to go across to some more experts. Now we have...
no, I think we still have Professor Vinod Sharma with us.
Yes.
Professor Sharma, I just want to ask you this. The Met Department forecasts were there. Chennai had borne the brunt of some rains not so long ago, just about 4-5 days ago. They were prepared for this deluge. Why did everything have to be moved there later? Is this how disaster management works? That let it all happen and then we'll send depending upon what is required? Or do you preempt it also?
No, actually, we are seeing it since last 10 years. Mumbai 2005, 2010, 2012. I mean, every year we are having this urban flooding. So it is not a new thing. 35 centimeter rain, I mean, I can understand it was unprecedented rain. But we should be, with this climate change scenario, with this El Nino and all that, I think each and every city should be prepared for this kind of situation. So what I am saying is that Chennai, this should be taken as a very big, challenge, and lesson learned from Chennai should be adopted by all the cities basically. Not only Chennai, but all the coastal cities, all are, mega cities. And I think each and every city should have a plan. After 2005, you see, Mumbai have changed.
Yes.
And Mumbai is having a foolproof plan, and they have done a lot. But I think now, before disaster, we should work and we should have proper preparedness.
Well, exactly.
You see, 650 water bodies, we have changed to 30 only in Chennai. So in case this kind of planning we have, and we are planning now 100, smart cities. In case every year, 4 or 5 cities like this, then huge money will be going for relief and rescue.
In fact, Professor Sharma, we are in fact going to be focusing very much on that in the latter half of Newshour today, where we are looking at this not just as a natural disaster, but also why man-made disaster. The fact is that our cities are growing exponentially. Is infrastructure keeping up? Let's go across to Professor Santosh Kumar, also director of the SARC Disaster Management Center, who joins us this evening. And I put that question to you. The fact is, as Professor Sharma pointed out, 650 water bodies of Chennai have now been reduced to 27. There's been massive growth in terms of buildings, construction. If there's going to be rain of this kind, where is the water going to go? And what do the civic authorities therefore need to do to make sure this situation does not arise every single time there is rain of this kind?
Yeah, I would mention two things here. One is this related to the immediate concern, and that also about the later half that you said. And the second question is about that how we should be going for the planning. One is that I would like to focus that one is considering that this is a very unprecedented kind of a situation, where you had started the rainfall, the warning system was there, the pre-positioning of the forces were there, entire state machinery, the national machineries, everything are into place. And now still we are facing the problem of communication and other things. So one is that we can take that at times the disaster overpower the situation. This is number one. But need to do is this, how to restore quickly the phone lines and also the communication, rail, road and that air link. That we have seen that today that government started that decongesting the city, decongestion of the city. But important is the water supply. Then I will get back to that question. Water supply that today, these days, many of the flood prone areas and the flood in the country which happened in the past, we had the instant purifier is a kind of a water pump that can be installed many places. And also we have the instant straw, which is straight from the flood water. You can take the water and you can drink. So that technology is there. People have been using in the country. That should be given on the priority basis. The third important thing which I would like to mention here, the secondary disaster to be prevented now as a kind of alertness and preparedness of the medical health and health system there, and also that the immediate impact will come on the health sewage system and also that waterborne diseases that can be taken care of from now itself.
No,
so these are the messages
because
which
they
I
are
would
still,
like
they
to,
are still grappling. They are still grappling 36 hours of no rain. Professor Santosh Kumar, one has to remember that Chennai has not had rain in the last 30 odd hours. And in 30 odd hours there is no rain, but they are still struggling. They are still struggling. What if it rains over the next 48 hours? What happens? That is what I am saying. The rains are happening not in the Chennai city itself, but in the nearby places and also the She area. That is, rain is happening continuously. And in the city itself, it is not happening. That we are very lucky that we are not having in the city. But important is that's why that the route, the highways have been opened, and people are going to Bangalore, and from there evacuation is taking place. From Chennai also that evacuation is taking place. Sir, please pause for a minute. I think we've been able to get through to Pradeep Pillai, who is joining us from Puducherry. And earlier in the evening, he had said that it had already started raining again in Puducherry. And Puducherry is also bearing the brunt of very inclement weather. So, Pradeep, quickly, how's the situation? You look quite dry right now. Is it dry behind you too?
Definitely no. We have found a shelter so that our live view and the mobiles can be charged, because we were out on the seaside where the rains were lashing. There was a brother, we were shuttling between Kadalur and Puducherry. And Anand, to tell you the fact, we should be afraid of the fact that the worst is yet to hit Puducherry and Kadalur, because there was a brother during the day, there was a break to the rainfall, but towards the afternoon it picked up first in Kadalur, and towards the evening in Puducherry, the intensity of the rain picked up. It was lashing heavily down, heavy downpour was there. Well, we have seen about 150 odd relief centers set up in Puducherry and a few in Kadalur town, but many of the residential areas have been cut off from the mainstream, and people have been complaining about power outages in and out at various parts. The DMK has come out in the open and asked that the place be declared a disaster prone area, disaster hit area. But the issue was, if the intensity of the rain increases, as it has been forecast now, well, the worst could be yet to come, and we would be really geared up to see what is going to happen now, because already there is waterlogging, already people are stranded, in spite of the several relief camps that have been set up across Puducherry and Cuddalore, which is a neighbouring district.
Yes, in fact, that is the greatest worry and fear right now. If the situation worsens, if there is more rain over the next 48 hours in Puducherry and, of course, in Chennai and various other parts of Tamil Nadu, what exactly is going to happen over the next 48 hours? It's going to be crucial to watch that, because despite the weather clearing up in Chennai, water levels have still been rising in some areas, and water, as Shabir told us earlier, was also released periodically from the overflowing Chembarakam dam. So that is a cause for concern. We're going to stay with this, and we'll go back to our reporters for the latest updates in just a few minutes. But just a quick reminder that social media has been one of the heroes in this time of dire straits for Chennai. Social media putting people together, and right here on Times Now also we are giving you an opportunity to connect with people that you might be trying to connect with in Chennai. You can in fact tweet to us, write to us, email us on our Facebook page information that you would like to give, which we will give forward to the Chief Minister's office.
What happens if it rains continuously for the next 48 hours? Is there low pressure still hanging around that northern coastline of Tamil Nadu? Will Chennai be inundated yet again? Let's ask Mahesh Palawat of SkyMed, who joins us. What's the situation as of now, Mahesh Palawat?
Good news is for Chennai people that low pressure area, which was over north coastal Tamil Nadu, has shifted southwards. Now Chennai will be having very little rain for next 24 hours. On and off light rain will be there, but heavy showers are ruled out for at least next 24 to 36 hours. And as the low pressure area as well as trough has moved towards southern parts of Tamil Nadu, so Cuddalore, Karaikal, Nagapattinam and Pamban, these districts will be getting more rain. You can say that south of Puducherry, rain will be confined to south of Puducherry, and Chennai and Puducherry.
So, but will it be as bad as it has been in Chennai over the last 2 days, or will it be moderate to heavy rainfall? Down south, you saying that
the rainfall will continue for another 24 hours? Yes, over southern districts.
Yeah, you said, but will Chennai, it be very heavy rain? Will people have to be evacuated? Will we have a situation similar to that as in Chennai right now?
Yeah, it can be because at present all the that low pressure area, it is confined towards southern coast of Tamil Nadu, off Sri Lanka coast, and gradually it will shift towards Kerala. So during next 24 hours, we cannot lower our guards over for the Cuddalore, Nagapattinam, Pamban and Karaikal, these areas, and we can expect that 80 to 100 millimeter rain can happen there. But fortunately, Chennai will not experience any heavy showers for next 24 to 36 hours. On 5th or 6th, slight increase of rainfall will be there, but it will not be as heavy as it has been since last 48 hours.
So it may be slightly good news for Chennai, as you're telling us, but there is some cause for worry for Puducherry and further south, because there's likely to be more rain there. Now, let me go quickly across to Shabir again, who's at the main control room. And Shabir, earlier what we were asking you is, what is the evacuation plan for tomorrow? Because we do understand that Air India has planned at least 4 to 6 special flights that are going to be evacuating passengers. And we also have, of course, the naval bases which have been pressed into full action. What is the evacuation plan for tomorrow?
Well, what we are picking up from the control room is that even tomorrow there will be combined evacuation and rescue operations that will be conducted in the southern parts of Chennai, as well as in districts like Kanjipuram and Tirulur and various other areas in and around Chennai, where people will be evacuated. And some of the people whom the Air Force, the Indian Army and the Navy and the NDRF, various forces who went to rescue them, they prefer to stay back, and tomorrow they will also be rescued, is what we are hearing from the officials, because at this moment the Met Department has given another warning saying that there will be rain for another few days, and
you know, Shabir, even as that's what Mahesh Palawat of SkyMet is telling us. Shabir, I don't know if you heard him. He says that over the next 24 hours, Chennai will not receive too much of rainfall. What he's saying is that the low pressure area has shifted southward beyond Cuddalore towards Nagapattinam, and those areas can receive 80 to 100 millimeters of rainfall. That's what he's saying over the next 24 hours. Now, is the state administration prepared for that? Or will they then respond once something happens in Nagapattinam and Cuddalore?
Nadu government in fact, right behind me you can see how the relief materials are being taken to different locations of Kanjipuram, Tambaram and various other areas where people are in the relief camps, and also food and water supplies are being sent through boats.
Well, I have a feeling Shabir has not heard. We've lost the audio connection. He's speaking, he's reporting of what's happening on ground. We will try and go across to Shabir and understand whether or not the Tamil Nadu government is prepared for eventualities further down south of Chennai, or are they going to just focus on what they can do to restore normalcy in Chennai? How prepared is the administration? How prepared was the city to try and face a deluge like this? This is the matter we debate on the other side on the Newshour at 10. Do stay with us.
Well, even as we keep track of those developments, the question we are asking here on the Newshour at 10, is this only a natural disaster? How much of it is man-made? Joining us for this debate on the Newshour at 10 this evening, Bittu Sehgal, environmentalist, Debi Goenka, Executive Trustee, Conservation Action Trust, Sophia Ashraf, activist from Bhopal. She is from Chennai though. She's currently joining us from Bhopal, and Bharti Chaturvedi, founder and director, Chintan Environmental Research and Action Group. Bittu Sehgal, if I can come to you first. The big question here is, yes, this is a natural disaster, but hasn't it been escalated due to A, poor civic planning, and certainly B, poor preparedness?
Yeah, I have to agree with you, but it's more than just poor civic planning, it's poor ambition. I mean, the fact is that the entire airport, for instance, is built on a floodplain. The second runway was built on a river, and that's not unique to Chennai. Mumbai is planning its new airport, starting its foundation something like 20 meters below sea level. We don't seem to be a learning people, and I think that this Chennai disaster, we're going to see more frequent, more intense issues, and it's about time we woke up and understood that just pushing GDP up and making construction the purpose of life is not going to work. I have nothing against anybody wanting a better life, but I don't see Chennai people now having a better life.
You know, it's going to take days to really resurface from this. I just want to add to what you're saying, Bittu Sehgal, because you made this very important point. Now, all this new infrastructure, where is it being made? You talked about the fact that the airport was built on the floodplains of the Adyar River, a sprawling bus terminal in flood-prone Coimbatore, a mass rapid transit system constructed almost wholly over a canal. If you're going to do stuff like this, Debi Goenka, then you're going to have to face the consequences. We've not seen this just in Chennai. We are seeing this everywhere across the nation, and as Bittu Sehgal warns, we might be seeing situations like this in the future.
Absolutely, and I think we just don't seem to learn from our mistakes. Mumbai went through the same experience in 2005. Over 500 people were killed. The city was paralyzed for more than 48 hours, and Mumbai became an island again after 300 years. And as Bittu has said, the Navi Mumbai airport is being built on mangroves and mudflats. It involves reclamation to a huge extent, and I think the site is more suitable for a seaport than for an airport. And the kind of urban pressures are just going to be increasing. We're talking about 50% of India's population living in cities by the end of 2030. And the way things are going, we've already reached our carrying capacity, and every attempt is being made to maximize the commercial value of land at the cost of the environment, at the cost of long-term sustainability. And I think, while the Prime Minister is talking about climate change and sustainable development in Paris, ground reality in India is something quite different.
No, not just that. If you're talking about
very, very sorry.
No, if you're talking about building 100 smart cities, and this is the status of Mumbai and Chennai, one wonders what these 100 smart cities are going to be like, Sophia Ashraf. What are you thinking as somebody who's lived in Chennai?
Yeah, I mean, this whole run for globalization, I mean, I always consider myself a globalized citizen, but this whole rampant industrialization that we're running around, I think Sir made a perfect point saying that we need conscientious development, not just building on floodplains, building on water bodies. In fact, if you see in Taramani, the substations have been built in a low-lying area, forcing the city not to have electricity in all those areas. I think what we need is conscientious city planning. And of course, we're talking about Chennai. We're not even getting into Kadalur and other cities who are in the big cities.
Yeah, and just adding to what you're saying, you're talking about these areas being used for construction. Again, I want to say studies have shown at least 300 water bodies have been converted into residential areas. Waterways, tanks and reservoirs are completely choked in the city. And Bharti Chaturvedi, now the fact is that there used to be, I believe, 650 lakes, water bodies and ponds in Chennai, which today have been reduced to 27. That is absolutely alarming. If you're going to build over river basins and lakes, where is the water going to go when there's rains like this? Where does it go?
I think the issue is actually even bigger than that. I think the point is that the way we've built our cities and the way we imagine our cities economically is actually extremely unsmart. And I think it's a great opportunity for us now to actually re-envision the whole smart city mission and essentially look at what we can do about cities in the era of climate change. Because part of these freak weather conditions is the whole problem of, they're precipitated partly by climate change, and the whole thing is exacerbated by how poorly we plan cities. And I think we need to kind of uncover, go right back to the map, look at natural drainage, remove buildings if we have to from riverbeds, because you can only handle water if it flows.
No, but it's easy to say it, but the reality down on ground, Bittu Sehgal, the reality is that it's being allowed on purpose. These encroachments are allowed.
No,
you allow somebody to reclaim land and build establishments, hutments and tenements, be it in Mumbai or in Chennai,
yes,
and then you allow them protection. You brazenly cut out mangroves and then you build roads there. Like you said, you've built an airport on a riverbed and you've not thought about the consequences. But have you at least prepared for it? Have you at least compensated for it? That is also not the case. 650 kilometers worth of canal for 2,780 to 2,700 odd kilometers of road in Chennai. That's the reality, Bittu Sehgal. So who do you pull up for this?
You can compensate. You cannot compensate for cutting down a mangrove. You can only not cut it down. And similarly, at least places like Bangalore are actually trying to revive lakes. But how do you revive lakes just like that?
No, they are not, Bharti Chaturvedi. Even Bangalore right now, from satellite imagery, you see toxic lakes. You see froth all across the lake. It's like a sheet of snow across an entire water body. Is what the reality in Bangalore is.
The quality of the water in the lakes. I'm saying there's much more legislation on trying to revive the lakes with the understanding of the ecosystem of the city. But my bigger point is that there is no option but to do a really dramatic rollback. I mean, look at the economic loss in Chennai, the so-called IT hubs that are developed. Look at the loss. It's all gone in a few days. All the so-called economic benefits.
No, not just economic benefits. I'm just saying real losses, Bittu Sehgal. How do you compensate for people who have lost their entire wedding trousseau? Their daughter's entire wedding trousseau is gone in a flash like this. All their certificates, proof, ration card, everything is gone in a flash. How is the state government going to compensate for this? It's just because they didn't want to spend a few hundred crores extra and do the job right.
It cannot be compensated. I'm telling you that it's one thing to have an insurance premium paid and then get some compensation. Right now, the truth of the matter is that anarchy rules. Yep. The builders are the ones that are making decisions.
That's it. Absolutely. That is the bottom line.
Apart, may I just complete the point I'm making? What I'm saying essentially is that if you look at Chennai and you look at history, it had one of the world's most sophisticated tank irrigation systems. Even Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, something like 90% of all irrigation as recently as the 1970s used to come from tank irrigation. That's dropped to 50% because of reclamations and the very weird belief that we, I think, have become the gods we've invented. We think that irrespective of anything, nature will somehow listen to us the way that our our employees listen to us. Nature will not give us any judgments, only consequences. And it's not Chennai. Look at Methi. Look at Uttarakhand. Look at Kashmir. Look at the floods in Leh. Look at what we are doing. Is this what we want to be remembered for? I'm not taking a moral position, though this is a very moral issue, because this is intergenerational colonization. I am taking an issue, like Bharti said, an economic one. We are making abysmal economic decisions, and these decisions are being taken by people who have a mask of economics in front and an inner greed that is being hidden. And it's not just crony capitalism, it's literally what does one say? It is, it's anarchy.
You know,
it's
unfortunately
environmental anarchy, and I really do blame our...
Like you said, it's, you know, it comes down to the builder lobbies, it comes down to everyone in those circles trying to make the fastest buck through the shortest cut. Now, I just, Devi Goenka, you know, just an example, for example, an engineer in July had exposed the Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority in a letter where he had alleged irregularities in multi-crore infrastructure projects, where he's actually pointed out that these projects were structurally weak, they could crumble any time. He talked about how stone quarry dust was used instead of sand, and the quantity and quality of cement was scaled down. He talked about how he used less than required steel for the construction of canals, and all of this because his seniors wanted to make money. He said he himself handed over about 60 lakh to them because they were getting that money from these contractors and from the builder lobby. Now, this is really the crux of the problem.
I hope the guy is in jail right now.
No. That's wishful thinking, Bittu Sehgal. We are living in India, and that's the reality. That these people get away with all of this and nobody accounts for it. And it's unfortunate that we have to make that comment, because nobody will point a finger at any of those civic officials, Devi Goenka.
I think, you know, we have a former Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra implicated in an irrigation scam which is worth thousands of crores of rupees. So I think the bottom line is, you know, there is absolutely no question of planning for the future. We need court orders to protect the national park. We need court orders to protect our mangroves. We need court orders to protect the coastal regulation zone notification. And instead of trying to strengthen the CRZ notification, Mr. Javadekar is busy trying to dilute it in the name of development. And, you know, to make matters worse, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra has constituted a committee which is going to convert all the salt pan lands in Maharashtra to affordable housing, which means further reclamation and further disasters in the making. It's a completely crazy situation, and I really don't know what goes on in the minds of decision makers besides the money making potential of land.
Because what do you say about a city? What do you say about a city? You're talking about Mumbai, Devi Goenka. Yes, that's a reality that stares in our face. Now imagine if this had happened in Mumbai and the financial capital of the country was shut down for 10 days. The airport would not have functioned for 8 days, like it's not going to function for the next 3 days in Chennai. Imagine the loss to the exchequer, far greater than the loss that we are facing with what has happened to Chennai. Now that's the reality. But people will not wake up to it because abhi tak hamare yahan hua nahi hai. You know, unless it happens to us, we will not realize, and even if it happens to us, we will not wake up from it. It doesn't matter. We will try, and they will come and demolish these tenements as crackdown action within 20 days. They will be back up again.
Look, the bottom line is...
But the point is, Mumbai had shut down for 48 hours in 2005, and we have learned nothing at all from that experience. If we have this kind of rainfall again, we will go through exactly the same situation that we went through in 2005. And this is really the tragedy. You know, we talk about climate change at international forums, but that does not get translated into decision making on the ground. And nobody actually at the end of the day cares about the common man. You can see that on your TV screen right now.
That's the
common man who's suffering.
If I may just interject.
While all the decision makers
Bittu Sehgal, you wanted to say something? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, what I want to say is that, look, the truth is there may be some genuine differences of opinion. There may be some people who believe more in the man-made aspect of this and some in the less. But the stark evidence that's before us right now, even the deniers of climate change have come around now, not to denying but trying to delay. I would say to you right now that we can least afford at this point in time to have internal dissensions. The world is dumping on us carbon into the atmosphere at a pace which is completely abominable. It is scary. India should be now, like Gandhi did, setting the right example at home so that these countries, whether it's the United States or the EU or Japan, so that they can be shamed, hopefully, by their own young people into doing the right thing. But sadly, what we are doing, what we see happening is, America, you've done it, therefore we should do it too, whether it's coal mining in forests, whether it is reclamations in areas, or whether it is the blockages of drainaging like this. There's something wrong. The intelligence of India has been auctioned.
It's not about intelligence, it's about consciousness.
And I don't think history will.
It's about realizing. You know, Sophia had people, had Chennaiites, just walked up to Marina Beach or to the Anna Salai on that day, just last week, when there was so much of rainfall, and after the rain subsided, the water levels receded. Had they seen the shorelines, they would have realized this is what they have dumped into the sea. They've all contributed. We've all contributed. And we see it washing back. The sea keeps washing it back and saying, look what you're throwing. Look what you're doing. But nobody is conscious. Nobody is bothered. Because they believe, oh, it's just a piece of paper. One piece of paper will not make a difference. So what if one drain is clogged? How is it going to make a big difference?
Yeah, well, what a lot of people don't realize is all the plastic that we're disposing is what's going and clogging the drains and causing a lot of these blockages. And we as consumers are just not even aware of how much plastic we use.
And it just comes back to the point that was being made earlier, Sophia, that, there is some sort of short-term gain or some supposed development that is happening at the cost of the long-term picture or the larger picture, and that is really a reality we need to wake up to. I think Devi Goenka was absolutely right when he said that this has happened in Mumbai, and there's absolutely no surety that it will not happen again. Where is the surety that it will not happen again if Mumbai sees rains like that again? Where is the surety that this will not happen elsewhere in the country if it sees rains like this? The storm drainage system is so acutely short in Chennai, and it's not a secret. It's something the state authorities know. It's something the civic authorities know. But who's doing anything about it? It's all a knee-jerk reaction when something happens.
You see, I'll tell you, even on programs like this, it's very difficult to get into the complexities of things. But the truth is that if you look at Chennai, there used to be a system of eels migrating from upland to the sea and back. Now, if we had nothing other than the desire to see that eels could migrate back, that in itself would improve drainage. So we think that we are improving on things. The truth is that by our not relying and not allowing nature to take its natural courses, including the water courses, we are really digging our own graves, and I don't think anymore that we can afford to just continue to fight and slang each other. We have to work together, even if we are uncomfortable with the people we are working with, Devi. We will have to work with people if we want to survive as a nation. We are too many people on too small a landmass, and we'll have to learn to flow with nature's tide and not against it.
The question is, why is there such a lack of action on part of the civic authorities? Like I said, the fact is that you see action when something has happened. Yes, you have the disaster relief management, you have all the different arms of the armed forces pressed into service. They are doing a great job. But why are we allowing this to happen in the first place, Bharti? If you look at these, the fact is that the Met Department had warned the concerned authorities and the government about excessive rain to the extent of 112% above normal. This alert had gone out to the Chennai civic authorities. Did anyone do anything about it? What did they do to prepare for this eventuality?
Well, first of all, I think it's really in our minds as much as in our actions.
I think the answer is clearly nobody has done anything.
It's not only
coming to you, Devi. Bharti is making a point. After that, come to Devi.
Being prepared for something of Chennai. It's also about the way we think of ourselves, of our cities. I mean, we don't plan. It's not just that we don't plan for disaster when some of these warnings go out. I think you plan for a disaster when you build that scenario, when you're making that city. And so everything, I think, is not. I think to me the really important thing is, now what are we going to do? When we're through with these rains, are we going to wait to be more efficient about the next
but what you're saying is too far-fetched.
No, I think we have to...
The reality that we see
no,
is
it's not
because you are saying you should plan for a disaster when you're planning a city. The reality with our civic authorities today, Bharti, is... No, the reality with our civic authorities is they say 112% rain. Barish hone do, phir dekha jayega. Then they will see, oh, it's already only half a foot of water outside my office. Let it become 1.5 foot and then we'll think about relief. That's the attitude today of the civic authorities.
Let me finish this. No, I'm sorry. You have to let me finish. This is just not on. You can't paraphrase me just because...
No, I'm not paraphrasing you. I'm saying this is the reality, Bharti. You're saying what you're saying is very right. You're saying we need to think about it before we plan the city. But I'm saying this is the attitude today. Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Bharti, get on with it. Finish the point you're making.
Yes. So I'm saying that first of all, I think what's happening has to roll out. It has to be treated as a disaster. But I think we have no option because this is going to be repeated in many cities in India and towns in the next few years, the next couple of years. So I think what we have to start doing is all the cities that exist to some degree, prioritize some and start figuring out, build these scenarios and figure out what are the absolute essentials, because tinkering and a little bit of cosmetic surgery is not
extreme
going to
action
help.
is needed. Extreme action is needed. Bittu Sehgal, as Bharti is saying, extreme action is needed. You need the governments, the state and the central governments. You need everybody to be on board with a plan which is environmentally sound. But my question to you, is that going to happen? Is it too utopian a reality for us to even hope for? Do you truly believe that will happen, or are we just hurtling towards impending doom?
The disasters
it's actually utopian for us to believe that we can carry on doing this and pay no consequences.
Yes, Bittu Sehgal. You can't say no pain, no gain. I mean,
no, Bharti, we're just getting Bittu to also just come in on this.
Good.
Yeah, sure. Please, go ahead.
Sure.
Look, the truth is that we, India particularly,
actually what I want to say is
we are going to have to find our own path.
Bittu Sehgal and Bharti, with due respect, I really appreciate what you guys are saying, what you people are saying. They be going, but the reality today is, what is going to happen is that the Tamil Nadu government day after tomorrow, I'm getting ahead of myself. Day after tomorrow, there is going to be a letter issuing and commending the work by the civic authorities in the rescue efforts. Not one person will be pulled up, suspended or dismissed for the fact that this person or you did not do your job right by being ready for it. All your measures were curative, but they will be lauded. What is preventive will never be talked about. That's the reality, Devi Goenka. That's what I'm saying. That's the attitude. Unless there is 1 foot of water outside their office, they will not think about relief.
And if I may chime in, there's one thing we're not even talking about.
And what I can say is, you don't have to actually blame the civic administration. You have to look at the very top. Because decisions about allowing illegal buildings and illegal constructions are taken at that level. And in fact, nobody can illustrate that point better than the Maharashtra government. Because the Chief Minister of Maharashtra has hung on to the urban development portfolio for the past 20 years. Because that is really where the money is. Why do Chief Ministers want to control urban development? Is the question that you should ask. Why are thousands of crores of rupees being made on plots that should not have been built upon? And why is this happening again and again and again? Why is no accountability at the very top where it should be? Those are the questions that we should be asking.
Yes, I mean, we've seen it in the national capital as well, with the entire Commonwealth Games village being made essentially in the Yamuna riverbed, in the basin. So it's happening everywhere. Very quickly, I think Sophia wanted to make a point, and then Mr. Sehgal will come to you. Yes, Sophia.
Yeah.
There is one thing that we're not talking about, which is there was a scary rumor that possibly the Kalpakkam nuclear reactor was also flooded. Are we in any way ready for a nuclear disaster? I mean, look at Fukushima. All it took was an earthquake and a tsunami. Are we in any way prepared for the inevitable? Is what I have to ask, if we are talking about being prepared.
We are not prepared for anything, the inevitable, not at all. What can happen, we are not prepared for that either. See, today the official word is only 5,000 cusecs of water has been released from the Chembarabakam lake. Had it been 8,000, 10,000 or 30,000, imagine what would have happened. That's how scary the reality is. And they will not, I'm telling you, Bittu Sehgal, this is what we will have to report day after tomorrow, that the government lauds the efforts of the civic authorities. And it's a shame because it is these people who have allowed that entire illegal construction, and they've not done the desilting properly across all the drainage system. They use manual labor rather than electrical and heavy earth movers to desilt those drainage systems properly. They've allowed all those tenements and all those illegal buildings to come up. The Buckingham Canal has become a sewer. Now their canal system is there to at least facilitate work. All of these are realities, but nobody will be pulled up for that. What an embarrassment that you want to promote Chennai as an IT hub, and you tell me that the airport is totally inundated. You can't land a plane for 4 days. Now, what can be more embarrassing than that?
See, it's worse than embarrassing. I wish it was merely embarrassing. The truth is that even now, the debate that we are having or the discussion we are having, I feel that, look, the time has come for us to be more inclusive. And actually, no matter how distasteful it might be, even those guys who are making money and making the wrong policy, we have to sit down with them and arrive at a national consensus. Climate change is real. Nature does not pass any judgments. It only gives you consequences. And what you are seeing in Methi River, or what you are seeing here, or what you saw in Uttarakhand, or what you saw in Kashmir, these are consequences. We should be, as a nation, united. And I think that the time has come for us, even if it's distasteful to us, to start working with those people who we do not like. Because we have to. We are on a ship. Yes. It's the Titanic. It's hit the iceberg. We've got to either plug it or we've got to get onto lifeboats and save what we can. Yeah. We cannot afford to just keep slanging at each other, because that's not going to work. Nature doesn't really get too impressed with that kind of thing.
Well, you know, that's what I was asking you earlier. Basically, if this continues, we are heading towards complete disaster, and that is not an if. That is a surety, going by the kind of nature's fury that we've seen just in the last few years. So therefore, I ask you, you're saying that rather than a reactionary approach, we need to have an approach which takes into account what could happen, you know, precautionary measures, better civic planning. But the fact is, Bittu Sehgal, what happens with the unplanned infrastructure, the unplanned development, all the construction that is already there in our cities? What can we do about these cities, our metros, that are already completely choked, completely overgrown and completely unplanned?
Look, nothing is not fixable, first of all. The fact is that if you have your arteries clogged, you've got to declog them. And that is what has happened. We have to allow the eels to move from upland to sea and back to upland. That in itself will surely solve at least 10% of the problem. As far as the other things are concerned, I think that we've got to learn to respect a little more, and we've got to accept the reality that, look, like the average drunk, you can't say, okay, look, I used to drink rum, now I'll drink whiskey and I'll be all right. You have to go off that alcohol, and the alcohol of development at any cost, I'm afraid, is not a good idea. I think that the people of Chennai are amongst the smartest, hardworkingest people I've ever seen. And this is not a problem of the people of Chennai. This is a problem of the illegitimate ambitions of people who have cornered this country's development agenda. And it can't be done anymore. You're making holes in our ship, and we're all on the damn Titanic, and we're all going to sink. Yes, so it's about time we got our act together.
True, and Chennai is one of the cities where you cannot construct anything higher than 10 floors. So if they can have a rule like that, they have banned hoardings across the city. So if they can have rules and they can stick by it, they can also plan their town better and their city better. But Devi Goenka, how would you address this issue? Who would you want pulled up? Or do you just dismiss it? Because like Tina was saying, Delhi is another city. If you were to get even 30 centimeters of rain or 30 millimeters of rain or 50 millimeters of rain in a day, that entire city will be inundated, because they're not planned for heavy rains. No city is in our country. That's the reality. And in Chennai today, would you want civic authorities, civic bodies to be punished?
There with a knife.
Well, that's exactly what I said. The decision making and the responsibility actually goes right up to the top, because these kind of decisions are taken at the chief minister level, at the cabinet level, and so on. It is not the town planner or the poor engineer who is responsible for this mess. It is those guys at the top who allow builders to come and influence their decision making process, to destroy the wetlands, to destroy the mangroves, to destroy the coastline. And it is the common man who suffers from all of this. And I really think it is high time the common man got up and told the politicians enough is enough and we are not going to take this anymore.
Yes.
Because we and our families bear this and have to suffer the consequences of this kind of decision-making process.
Yeah, but you know, it's a very, very large problem to tackle, especially with the way our system is, Devi Goenka. And just coming back to you on that, as we started by saying, you know, the Prime Minister is in Paris talking about a climate change summit, but the reality of our country is that the local civic authority guy is the one who will take a few bucks and allow an illegal building to come up. It's going to have to be a very radical change if we're really going to tackle this problem.
Yes, so the solution, of course, has been traditionally that we go to courts and we file cases against illegal constructions, against encroachments and so on. And we now find that the judiciary itself is now possibly not as interested in these kind of problems as it used to be. So I think really in a democracy, the solution actually lies with the common man. And I really think it is for the common man to get up and say that, look, we need to look at long-term development. We need to look at sustainability. We need to see what kind of world we are leaving behind for our children and grandchildren. And we will fight to protect our earth from these kind of guys who are only interested in making money.
Yeah. And I think, Bittu Sehgal, that there is a lot to be learned perhaps from many European countries today. Now, even though there are people, like you pointed out earlier, who say things like back in 1942, London had air which was the similar quality to Delhi today, but look how they've progressed. So we'll also follow in the next 70 years, but we don't have that kind of time.
No, but to be honest, I think that the countries, the G7 countries who are selling their false ambition to us, they are the ones that are putting the world in peril. Our own people are really the best that I can think of. It's not that I'm advocating Gandhiism as the solution to everything in the world, but I'll tell you this, that the average Indian is more thrifty, he's more caring, he or she cares more about nature, and I think that we've got lessons to teach the rest of the world. I would hate for America to become the policy maker for India, because that would put us down under very fast. They need to learn from us how to live frugally, how to care for the next generation, and how to venerate nature in a way that makes life better for us all. We have all these things here with us, but we've imported false ambition. And the people in charge right now, whether they're in commerce, whether they're in politics, whether they're in the bureaucracy, somehow or the other they feel more empowered when they go to the World Bank and institutions like that, which are actually the ones that should be shut down right now.
No, you know, that's a larger issue. I'm just coming back and saying, one, we are not saying that the spirit of Chennai, we're not questioning the spirit of Chennai. We're not questioning the spirit of Mumbai or Mumbaikars, Chennai or Chennaiites or Bangaloreans or Delhiites. Because people come out in times of, stress and distress at this time. They come out and help. That's what they do. But once this water subsides, next week the anger will come to the fore when the actual damage hits the people, Bharti. And that's where people will, the administration will have to answer questions, the tough questions. What am I going to do about my certificates? What am I going to do about my entire house? Who's going to pay for the damage that this water has caused, this deluge has caused? What about the diseases that could happen? Who's going to provide the care?
And the lives lost.
And the lives lost.
And the lives lost.
How we actually go from this terrible disaster in Chennai, and what lessons we learn really will reflect how this government, how seriously this government, both the state government and the national government, actually treats Chennai and this whole disaster that's happened. So are we going to say we're going to, I'm pretty sure, and I think a lot of the panelists might agree with me, that there is no soft way out. We have to take some extraordinarily hard decisions, not only for Chennai but for all our cities, in terms of literally undoing stuff that we've done. So will that happen? Will we be able to get more monitoring? Will we be able to get more citizens' participation, so that we don't, and these things are not easy, but they have to be done, and they have to be done real quick.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I could, I would like to absolutely dismantle Delhi's Commonwealth village on the Yamuna, because otherwise there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be completely flooded out in the east of Delhi, and many of them are exceedingly poor. So there's a huge environmental inequity issue that will come here.
Well, I mean, that's one example, but the larger point that you're trying to make, Bharti, is essentially this, that we are going to need radical measures. The big question is, how much are we going to learn from this disaster in Chennai? Did we learn after we saw similar scenes for 48 hours in Mumbai? Not very sure, but we certainly hope that after Chennai, our cities, our metros are going to start looking into A, disaster preparedness, and B, better civic planning and a slightly better conscience towards environment. Thank you all very much for joining us on the second debate on the Newshour tonight.